Hello, thank you for joining me today. We're at the border between England and Wales. That's Wales there, just over the River Severn. And today I'm going to be cycling from here, across Wales, all the way to the coast. I've been planning this ride across Wales from border to coast for a couple of reasons. First one is a bit of a sequel to my video I did a few years ago, where I cycled coast to coast across northern England. Secondly, I wanted to set myself a realistic challenge. Having not done much cycling this year, this route at 60 miles seems something that I could realistically complete, even with the extra few pounds I'm currently carrying. I'm starting the ride at Crew Green Bridge, on the border between Shropshire and Wales. At this point, the border is marked by the River Severn. I'm starting here because, number one, this bridge is part of National Cycle Network Route 81, and I love a bit of the National Cycle Network on this channel. And number two, it's actually an old railway bridge, and I'm a big fan of old railway infrastructure if you've watched my other videos. The bridge was built in 1947 as a branch line on the Shropshire and Montgomeryshire Railway. In 1962 it was saved from demolition and converted into a road bridge. With the border being officially in the middle of the river, we can say that my journey starts just about now. Between me and the end point of this ride at Barmouth on the mid-Wales coast lies 60 miles of tarmac, one large hill topping out at 1100 feet, and one mountain topping out at just under 1800 feet. That's the highest I'll ever have been on a bicycle. I know those in Europe and America might laugh at that, but here in the UK, 1800 feet is a pretty big climb. In my head, I've divided this ride into three sections. First, from here to Lake Vyrnwy, which is about 25 miles. Then from Lake Vyrnwy, over the mountain pass, and down to the southern end of Lake Bala, and then down the valley to Dolgellau, which is another 25 miles. And then from Dolgellau, the final part of the journey will be the 10 miles down the Mawddach Trail into Barmouth. From the start at Crew Green Bridge, we're following National Cycle Route 81 for about half a mile. From then on, we're generally following B roads all the way to Lake Vyrnwy. It's not long before on the left we get a good view of the Bridon Hills, and on the top of this hill you can see Rodney's Pillar. This was to commemorate Admiral Rodney's victory over the French in 1782, because there's nothing more than the British like than a monument to celebrate a victory over the French. It's built here because the oak to build Admiral Rodney's fleet was taken from here and shipped down the River Severn to Bristol where the boats were built. And speaking of the River Severn, it's not long before we're crossing it again, but this time we are staying in Wales. Crossover on the Llandrinio Bridge. This was completed in 1775 and designed by John Gwynn from just down the road in Shrewsbury. If you can hear the wind in this video, I hope you'll have sympathy for me, because it is unfortunately a headwind, and as I'm going in one direction pretty much the whole way to Barmouth, I will be fighting this the whole way. And if I can play for sympathy a little bit more, the weather conditions as I cross the River Vyrnwy into a town which I'm not going to try and pronounce, but another one that begins with a double L, were not particularly favourable. I'm not sure how much the GoPro conveys the weather here, but it was a very heavy shower. That water dripping off my arms is not sweat. The shower did pass, and the weather did dry up, and it wasn't far from here, where I began to see the hills rising up in front of me. Unfortunately, the wind did not ease up, and I was still battling against it. I was also starting to battle against the gradient, as the first serious climb in this ride approached, peaking at 1100 feet, just before Lake Vyrnwy. The climb really started to kick in after the village of Llanfillin, when I turned left onto the B4393. This section of road was extremely beautiful, as I made my way up a valley, edging closer towards Lake Vyrnwy. But before I got there I had to summit this 1100 foot peak, and my legs were really starting to burn on this section of road. I planned this route out on Garmin Connect, and to be fair to Garmin, it did warn me with these three purple markers that there were some steep gradients here, before reaching the summit of this climb, just a couple of miles away from Lake Vyrnwy. My legs were hurting so badly that I even started grunting at one point. I did eventually make it to the top of this climb, and then got to enjoy the 1 mile descent down, including a hairpin bend, before the final short climb up to Lake Vyrnwy. The final mile before Lake Vyrnwy was a gentle ascent that wound its way up to the top of the dam. To get here I've battled through headwind, I've battled through rain, and I've battled up some steep gradients, which were quite tough for me in my rather unfit cycling state at the moment. But it was all worth it when I got here because the view of Lake Vyrnwy is absolutely stunning. I visited Lake Vyrnwy last year for the first time and knew that I had to come back here cycling. Initially I had the idea that I'd just cycle around the lake, which is about 10 miles and makes for a great family bike ride, but I've decided to include it in this border to coast bike ride, and I'll just let you enjoy the view for a moment from the top of the dam. The dam here was finished in 1888 and is constructed of solid Welsh granite. The dam's 44 metres high and was built to supply water to the city of Liverpool. After the dam was finished, the old village of Llanwydden was flooded in the valley behind the dam. Apparently, if the water does get low, you can still see remains of this village today. The route takes me right over the dam itself to the other side of the lake. Over here you'll find toilets and a cafe. So I stopped here to take a break, recharge and enjoy the views, before carrying on my journey around the south side of the lake. I absolutely love cycling around this part of the lake. Firstly because it was really flat compared to what I'd just been cycling, and secondly because the views were absolutely gorgeous. Every now and again you get a view through the trees of the mountains and of the lake. You'll also pass over many small streams and rivers that flow into the lake, and many of these have waterfalls as they make their final descent down into Lake Vyrnwy. Hi guys, you join me on the shore of the beautiful Lake Vyrnwy with the mountain in the background that I've got to climb to get to Dolgellau and then on to Barmouth. I've struggled quite a bit to get up to Lake Vyrnwy. As you know from earlier in the video, we had to go over a 1100 foot pass and my legs were burning and I really struggled with that, and I am a little worried about that mountain behind because it goes up to about 1750 feet. That's the highest I'll ever have been on a bike of any kind, so I'm a little bit apprehensive. But and I want to get to the top of that. It's all downhill pretty much all the way to Barmouth from there, so that's keeping me going. So even if I have to stop 100 times, I'm going to give it my best shot to get over that mountain behind us. I hope you're enjoying the video, and if you are, please do support the channel by giving it a subscribe. It really makes a difference. Like, subscribe and drop me a comment. Thanks very much and wish me luck for this climb. After just a few short miles around the lake, it was time to turn left and make my way away from the lake and up this mountain climb. Or that was the plan at least, until I came across this rather large tree blocking the road just a few hundred metres up from the lake. That is a very substantial tree blocking my way up this mountain. So that's it, ride over. Only joking. But you will have to tune in for part 2 of this video to see if I made it past this tree and finish my ride to the coast. Thank you very much for watching. Please do subscribe to the channel so you didn't miss part 2. And don't forget to give the video a like if you enjoyed it and drop a comment. Take care and I'll see you for the next one.